In the mists of time, when the world was cloaked in shadow and superstition, when knights clashed in gleaming armor, and kingdoms rose and fell by the sword, there existed heroes unlike any other. Stone castles loomed over rolling hills, their towers piercing the heavens. Villages bustled with the clamor of blacksmiths' hammers and the laughter of children, yet danger lurked beyond the torchlight. Bandits roamed the wilds. Dark sorcerers conjured forbidden spells, and monstrous creatures born of nightmare stalked the unwary. Legend tells of a knight who, in a moment of despair, knelt before a sacred pyre and offered his life to save his village from a marauding dragon. The fire answered, not with death, but with power. Alaric emerged, his armor glowing red-hot, his sword wreathed in flame. Some carried relics, amulets, rings, or shards of crystal that channeled their powers. A woman in a simple robe might conceal the power to summon storms. Warlords sought to conquer with armies of steel and fire. Sorcerers wove curses that blighted crops and poisoned minds. And from the shadows emerged creatures of legend, dragons, giants, and demons born of ancient sins. Betrayal festered in royal courts, where ambition turned brother against brother. And always the specter of fear loomed large. For what is evil if not the absence of hope? The heroes of this age fought not just with strength, but with courage, lighting the way for those lost in darkness. These were not mere villains, but embodiments of chaos, threats to the fragile order of the world. A monk with a shaved head might wield the strength of 10 men. Clad in robes blacker than night, he commanded an army of wraiths, spirits bound to his will by forbidden magic. His goal was dominion over all life, his power drawn from a cursed artifact buried deep beneath the earth. Villages fell to his blight, their people turned to ash. It was said that only a hero with a heart pure as dawn could stand against him. Their anonymity was their shield, allowing them to move unseen until the moment of need. In a world where superstition could lead to accusations of witchcraft, discretion was often their greatest ally. These were not mere tools, but extensions of their very souls, forged in moments of destiny. A hero's appearance was a declaration of their purpose, a warning to evildoers that justice walked among them. He slew the beast and became a beacon of hope, his fiery aura a symbol of defiance against evil. Such stories were common in this age, where the line between myth and reality blurred. This was the medieval world, a tapestry of beauty and brutality, where survival demanded strength, cunning, and for some powers beyond mortal ken. A healer who could mend wounds with a touch might age with every life saved. A warrior who could summon lightning might fear the storms within his own heart. Their lives were solitary, for who could understand a soul touched by the divine? They wandered from village to village, answering cries for help, their deeds immortalized in songs sung by firelight. Not mere mortals, but beings of extraordinary power, gifted by the gods, the stars, or ancient magics. Instead, these heroes donned garb suited to their time chainmail and plate armor, cloaks of deep green or midnight blue, and hoods to shield their faces from prying eyes. Their attire was practical yet symbolic, often adorned with emblems of their power. A hero who commanded the winds might wear a cloak embroidered with swirling patterns, while one who spoke to beasts might bear a helm shaped like a wolf's head. They were figures of awe and fear, cloaked in wool and leather, their armor etched with runes of protection. Their origins were as varied as the lands they roamed. Some were born with gifts children, touched by prophecy, their births heralded by comets or storms. Others were forged in tragedy, their powers awakened by loss or sacrifice. A blacksmith's son might discover his hands could shape molten iron without burning. A peasant girl might hear the whispers of the wind, guiding her to hidden truths. And some were chosen by forces greater than themselves, angels, spirits, or ancient gods who bestowed their might upon the worthy. Some bore the mark of the divine, their eyes glowing with celestial light. Others wielded artifacts forged in dragonfire or blessed by ancient druids. Their powers were not born in laboratories, but in sacred groves, cursed battlefields, or the hearts of fallen stars. They were knights, monks, wanderers, and outcasts, bound by a shared calling to protect the innocent and defy the forces of darkness. These were the superheroes of the medieval age warriors of legend, whose deeds echoed through the ages. Welcome to a journey into a forgotten era, where capes were cloaks, where powers were born of mysticism, and divine favor, and where the battle between good and evil shaped the destiny of the world. This is the story of how superheroes lived, fought, and triumphed in the medieval realm. Picture a land of endless forests, where ancient oaks whispered secrets older than time itself. In this age, superheroes were not the brightly clad icons of modern tales. Who were these heroes, and how did they come to be? Take, for example, Sir Alaric the Flamheart. Yet these heroes were not without flaws. They were human or near enough, and their powers often came with a cost. What did a medieval superhero look like? Gone were the spandex and capes of modern lore. Their weapons were as extraordinary as their abilities. Swords glowed with enchanted light, staffs pulsed with the heartbeat of the earth, and bows fired arrows that never missed their mark. Yet not all heroes were clad in armor. Some were humble, blending into the crowds of merchants and pilgrims. But what of the evils these heroes faced? The medieval world was a battleground for forces both mortal and supernatural. Consider the Shadow King, a sorcerer whose name was spoken only in whispers. Other evils were less tangible, but no less deadly. Plagues swept through the land, some natural, others conjured by malevolent forces. The battles of these medieval superheroes were the stuff of legend, etched into the stones of ruined castles and the verses of bardic songs. Picture a windswept moor, where a lone hero stands against a horde of shadow beasts, her sword flashing like a star. Imagine a crumbling cathedral, where a monk channels divine light to banish a demon back to its infernal realm. These were not mere skirmishes, but clashes that shook the heavens. One such tale speaks of Lady Alawen, the Stormcaller. Born in a coastal village, she could summon tempests with a whisper. Yet some found companionship among their own kind. Bands of heroes, like the Order of the Starlit Blade, roamed the land together, their powers complementing one another. A fire wielder might fight alongside a healer, their bond forged in shared purpose. These alliances were rare but powerful, a reminder that even the mightiest need allies. There was Alaric, his flames lighting the night. Ilawen, her storms tearing through the enemy ranks. And Brother Cedric, a monk whose prayers shielded his allies from harm. Tales of their deeds spread far and wide, growing in the telling. A single act of bravery might become a saga, a hero's name immortalized in stone or song. But for every tale of triumph, there were stories of lost heroes who fell to temptation, whose powers consumed them, or who vanished into legend, their fates unknown. They fought not for fame, but for the light that burns within us all. In the medieval age, when shadows stretched long and evil wore 1,000 faces, they stood tall cloaked in courage, armed with powers beyond imagining. Their story is our story, a timeless reminder that heroism knows no era, and that even in the darkest of times, there are those who will rise to meet the challenge. So let their legend live on, in our hearts, in our songs, and in the battles we fight for a better tomorrow. Heroes fought knowing they might not return, their powers a double-edged sword. In a world where darkness seemed eternal, they were the spark that refused to die. Their battles against evil, whether a dragon's wrath, a sorcerer's curse, or the despair of a broken people, reminded humanity that courage could triumph over fear. Their lives, though often brief, were beacons that lit the way for generations. Yet they pressed on, driven by a code as old as the hills, to protect, to serve, to stand against the tide of evil. The knight who wields a flaming sword, the mystic who calls the storm, the monk who heals with a touch. These are not just tales of old, but reminders of what it means to stand against evil. They were the first superheroes, not of comic pages or silver screens, but of a time when the world needed them most. Together, they faced impossible odds, their powers weaving a tapestry of fire, wind, and faith. The battle raged for 3 days, and when the dust settled, the Shadow King's forces were broken, though the cost was great. Cedric fell, his life given to seal the artifact's power forever. When a fleet of pirate warships threatened her people, she stood atop a cliff, her cloak billowing in the gale. With a cry, she called forth a maelstrom that shattered the enemy sails and sank their ships beneath the waves. Many lived as wanderers, never staying long in one place. A hero might save a village from a monster, only to leave before the celebrations began, their heart heavy with the knowledge that more battles awaited. Others sought refuge in monasteries or hidden groves, seeking to understand their gifts or atone for their burdens. The villagers called her a goddess, but she vanished into the storm, seeking the next battle. Another legend tells of the Battle of Blackthorn Vale, where a band of heroes united against the Shadow King's army. These battles were not just about victory, but about sacrifice. Beyond the battlefield, what was life like for these heroes? It was a life of paradox, glory tempered by solitude, power shadowed by duty. Their relationships were fleeting, for who could love a being who walked with destiny? The common folk revered them, yet feared them. A hero's arrival might mean salvation or destruction, for their powers could reshape the land itself. The superheroes of the medieval age did not fight for glory or riches, but for something greater: hope. Their legacy endures in the stories we tell, in the ideals of heroism that still stir our hearts. As we walk the modern world, surrounded by steel and glass, let us not forget the heroes of old.